Hey friends, it's Dennis of 3D Mini Magic. This video is the concluding part to my video last week where I painted a figure of Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, from a kit which is available on my Etsy shop, 3D Mini Magic. And as you can see, as usual, I'm displaying my lack of production skills. I'm trying to have decent mic placement while also putting me and the figure in the camera. Um, so I hope it still works. Um, okay, so here is the figure. As you can see, I'm going to center it maybe a little more for the camera and a little closer as well. Um, I may also throw up some pictures of the sample paint job that came with the figure. As I mentioned last week, I pretty much followed the same color scheme. Kind of white and gold. With some red. Uh, for obviously the helmet and the cloak. I did black hair and I think kind of a lighter color of the skin tone. I think I have a light here that I think is a little bright for what I'm trying to do here. Okay, I think let's do this a little better. I think. Anyway, I think you can see the colors are not as washed out as they were before. So as I mentioned, let's let the camera focus. So she's kind of standing on a base. I put kind of gold paint around the rim. Kind of the idea is that apparently she's standing on a broken column and some rocks. There's a tree branch with an owl, of course the ancient symbol of Athena. She has her shield with the face of Medusa on it. I painted them all separately, of course, and then glued it together. I used a gray primer, which I felt was, that's a fairly neutral, color for it. It does feel a bit delicate. The tip of the spear from her hand up is a separate piece, and it feels pretty delicate. As you can imagine, it's just I wasn't able to get to fit perfectly in the kind of the hand socket, as it were. And of course, the owl on the branch is kind of dangling out there. Um, uh, the so It's a bit delicate, which I guess is fine. This is a display piece. Obviously, this is not a miniature you'd use in a game. I mean, you could obviously. That would be cool, but I don't think it's what it's really meant for. So you kind of want to. After it's painted and assembled, you kind of put this in a nice display case where it can be seen, um, and it's basically there to look at, to add to the collection. How do I feel about my paint job? Um, I'm reasonably happy with it. I I didn't try to do anything too sophisticated with the paint job. As I mentioned, I kind of followed um, the example that came with it. Uh, Everything, every piece is basically one color. I picked one color for all the metal parts. The shields, the greaves, uh, arm bracers, the metal on the breastplate, another color for the skin. So that keeps it kind of pretty simple. Um, and there's a lot of touch up work I did after it. My feeling about that is you kind of get to, at least with my level of brush control, is it. I feel like okay, it's never going to be perfect. I got it to the point where I felt it was good enough. Um, just because like space, like for example, around where the helmet is, since the helmet is pushed up on top of her head, and you can see her hair under there. Uh, Trying to get the metallic paint just on the helmet and not on the hair, and the black paint for the hair only on the hair and not on the helmet, it gets a bit tricky. You kind of there's a tendency, at least for me, I wind up overcorrecting a little bit. Um, I think for the most part I did okay. Again, and I might, the most part is I enjoyed doing it, and I'm pretty happy with the end result. Um, uh, it doesn't have to be perfect for me to enjoy the hobby. So that's that. My next job, I've gotten really fascinated by a figure which you can also purchase on 3D Mini Magic. Here is it's part of a series actually. Um, this guy, um, this is from a series called the Golem, and I have another Golem figure around here. The Golem, here he is. And they did something very clever. I mean, the golem is a figure from Jewish folklore, which is a kind of a figure made from clay, I think, in the original legend, and then a Kabbalistic magic brings it to life. It is kind of like an early precursor of Frankenstein's monster. What some folks, again, this is from STL Flicks, through my agreement with them, is what they're calling these guys is this uh, the dark colored one is a magma golem, and this lighter colored one is an ice golem. So I guess somehow somebody made a figure out of magma, molten lava, brought him to life, and here's this ice one. They're really, my feeling is, these work very well as any kind of generic monster. To be honest, um, I'm intrigued the idea of a magma monster. If you and I don't know quite how well it didn't. Is that perfect again? Uh, but to here, I thought I'd give him a black sort of basically a black coat, and then the way it's sculpted. It's really well designed, really well sculpted with the idea of like you can see where he's made of rocks, and there's a kind of these spaces between the rocks, which presumably is where you'd see the magma. So here I used a red paint there. And this, by the way, is the 32 millimeter scale of this figure. While, but there's also a 75 millimeter scale figure. And I've been painting him up. But I have not glued him together yet. But so you can see the 75 millimeter scale is substantially bigger, which certainly makes painting substantially easier. And here I went with a gray, kind of the idea is he's basically gray. He's gray rocks, and then I used a mixture of red, obviously red paint, and then I mixed my own orange paint with just yellow and and red paint to give him kind of this idea that, again, he has these kind of veins of magma coursing through him. He also has these chains around his wrists, which I put kind of a black metallic. His lower body, I continue the theme, and again, I guess he's got a chain for a belt, and being, I guess, a modest golem, he doesn't want to offend anyone, so he's got kind of a loincloth covering the strategic areas, which I thought, well, kind of a dark red. We'll work on that. I don't worry, he's not anatomically accurate, so he's not really hiding anything. But you don't want to offend people. I am. And actually, I'm so kind of intrigued by the possibility that I printed him out again. And this is getting really washed out here. But here I'm using a white primer, and I haven't made up my mind. I have some paint that's supposed to give more of a texture, like a rocky texture to him. So I might put that on here, or I might try again with at this scale, the black paint, and have the then have like the red and orange magma veins, which I think would really pop against the black background. So for this guy, he had a black, he had a black primer, and so I like to experiment with stuff. I'm going to try a white primer and see what, just how it comes out. I think that's the way one learns, and gets a sense for your own style. Okay, that's today's miniature show and tell. The store, as I record this, the store is still in vacation mode. Obviously, we're coming up on the holiday season, so I'll probably open it back up very soon, because for renewed shopping season, or at least keep it up for a while and see how business goes. Yeah. So again, it's if you've been following my earlier videos, basically I'm keeping a much tighter control of my expenses, because you have to realize not only do I have to pay for the resin, I have to pay for the resin, but there's also all, for example, the packaging materials. Like if somebody buys this, I have to take a substantially, this is a couple large pieces, a fairly large box. I always wrap things very, very carefully. I don't want, obviously I don't want anything to arrive damaged at a customer's house. But that costs money. It's not a huge amount of money, but the more your business scales, the more packaging you have to buy. That's a lesson that I'm learning the hard way, and I think a lot of people learn the hard way. So I will probably open up the shop very soon and see, and just see how it goes. There's also, when I put the shop on vacation mode, I stopped paying my monthly fee for my commercial licenses, which I need because I need a large inventory to sell, to sell on Etsy. Etsy itself will tell you that the more items you have in the shop, the more they boost you in the algorithm, and the more sales you make. So I am continuing to create my own designs, but I just don't have enough that justifies opening the shop. if you people go, and which I think makes sense. People, imagine yourself, you're the person perusing Etsy for some cool miniatures, and you come across a shop where it's got a, you know, 120 different items for sale. And, as mine does, in each item, most of the items come in different scales, with some different options. So, like, hey, so you stop and you look and you see something you like and you buy it. If there were 10 items, you might scan very quickly, and if you don't see anything that really grabs you, you're like, yeah, well, why would I look at this? And also, you might never see my shop because it's all about the algorithm, guys. It's all about, you Google something, you click on the first two or three things that come up at a Google ranking. If you look, just do a Google search anything right now, any random thing like tabletop miniatures or 3D printing. There's pages and pages of Google search results. Who goes to page number 5? Nobody. So you really have to be in the top couple results. But doing that can take some money. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I hope you're doing great, and believe me, I'm grateful for everything you do have. I'm grateful for the success, the level of success I have had, and I'm extremely grateful to all the people who, of course, who bought items from the shop, who looked at the shop, and I'm very grateful to you if you have watched this video to the end. Thank you so much, and take care.